21 to order. Please rise for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law by posting a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building and by publication in the Press of Atlantic City and the Star Ledger on February the 8th, 2021. Adequate notice of in-person attendance and live streaming with call-in capability was provided by publication in the Press of Atlantic City and the Star Ledger on December 16th, 2020. Mr. Deshard, Mrs. Link,
Here.
Mr. Vitale,
Here.
Mr. Schenker,
Here.
Mayor Kane.
Here.
You can go closer.
Could we please take a moment of silence for private reflection? All right. First, we have a guest presentation this evening from South Jersey Industries and Atlantic City Electric for New Jersey Energy Assistance. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Would you go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about what we're going to listen to?
Yes. Thank you for having us. My name is David Vinokurov, and I'm going to run through some of the programs, and I'm going to turn it over to my partner, Lita Corbett from Atlantic City Electric. Thank you for having us. Some of the programs that we want you and your residents to be aware of, especially during these difficult times, are low-income home energy assistance and Universal Service Fund. All of these programs are either federal, state, or local programs designed to assist residents in paying their energy bills. These programs will greatly benefit them. As you know, we have been in moratorium since March of last year. The moratorium is due to expire March 15th of 2021, so these programs will become more important than ever. So as I said, first we have the two programs that are designed to assist low-income customers, LAHEAP, Low-Income Home Energy Assistance, and Universal Service Fund. We have moderate income programs, which are payment assistance to gas and electric, a program called PAGE. We also have New Jersey Shares, another wonderful program designed to assist moderate income individuals. We have a program called New Jersey Lifeline, which is designed to assist seniors, people over 65, as well as disabled individuals that are receiving Social Security disability between the ages of 18 and 65. I'm going to turn it over to my partner, Alita, to continue the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, David, and thank you, everybody, for allowing us the opportunity to speak to you this evening. We both understand at South Jersey Gas and Atlantic City Electric that a lot of the people, a lot of your constituents are hurting. So we wanted to make sure that we let you know about payment plans also that's available. The companies have developed more flexible payment arrangements for people who are having difficulties with their bills. They can extend their past due bills out 12 to 24 months. That will help them to get caught up on their assistance. Plus, when they go for energy assistance, that will be calculated into the formula of what is due. We also have budget billing. It's a great plan that I've used since, since I started paying utility bills. And they take your total usage for a year and they divide it by 12 months. And that's what you would be paying, equal amounts each month. The great part about that is when you're having the cold weather like we're having now and extreme heat in the summertime, that would be factored into over 12 months automatically. Now, the programs that we are talking about tonight, you can go to southjerseygas.com. You could go to atlanticcityelectric.com. You can call South Jersey Gas at 888-766-9900. You can call Atlantic City Electric at 1-800-642-3780. Or you can go to the state and just pick up your phone and dial 211, or nj211.org, and they would be happy to give you to the locations that people would need in order to go get assistance. Again, thank you for allowing us the opportunity to speak, and we wish everybody safety and great health.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Committee, does anyone have any questions or comments? Or
Yes, I really do. I know this is the age of choices. If you are 50 and below, dial 1. If you are 2, and if you would like to answer to 2, and you would like assistance, with breathing and so on and so forth, what I'm trying to get across is we need real people answering real questions. It's not too much to ask. Why do we have to go through all these different options? When I put on my phone, I say I want to talk to a real person. I want to talk to that real person. Okay? Now, I had a situation where the gal that works for me says, "Oh, Atlantic City Electric just called me and says I have 20 minutes to get down to, Atlantic Electric and pay my bill." And, obviously, not everybody knows that would be a totally bogus call from a foreigner. And she's just beside herself and so on and so forth. I said, "I'm coming down to the rink, I'll get you the number," and blah, 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 blah. Finally, I got a hold of a fellow by the name of David. He says, "Oh, that's a total scam. Give me your real number," and so on and so forth. But of course, I want redress. How do we redress those people who are scamming our information all the time? I guess we can't right now. But if there's anything that can be done, and, I would like to know about it, and I will recommend, people that I know for the plan that you gave us, and I think it's an excellent plan. And it shows that you're sensitive to our community. You've been of our community since I've been a little girl, and I'm not going to tell you how old I am. But yes, Atlantic Electric has been there for us. And that's why I said, this guy has to be totally crazy. So if you can do any research on that, I don't know if there's anything to be done. Can you address that, or is that something?
Yes, we are aware of scams, and we put out information periodically about scams, and we always tell people, if you think it's a scam, it's probably a scam. So call the utility company, and if you can't get anything, hit 0, and you'll get an answer. But yes, we have a lot of scams. I wish we could do something about it. People will actually let people in their houses sometimes, thinking that, that we're there. You can pick up the phone, call us too, and say, "Is it anybody at my house? Is anybody scheduled to be at my house today?" To read your meter, if you have a meter that you have to go through the inside of your house. So it's hard to deal with scams, because I'm telling you, they're like one step ahead of you. Every time you take a step, they take another step. But we are trying to make sure we let people know that there are scams out there, and they can always call us, and we will let them know if it's a scam or not.
And as Alita mentioned before, the customer service numbers, please call those 800-88 numbers, 888 numbers for Atlantic City Electric and South Jersey Gas. And if you suspect anything that's not above board or within the law, please call your local authorities. They can connect the dots So those folks that you were saying calling from various call centers and whatnot, the law enforcement authorities are shutting them down, are going after them, and really trying to shut those phone banks and operators down, even in foreign countries. So please call the local authorities. They will connect the dots to make sure that somebody else doesn't get scammed. And the best thing to do is to call both Atlantic City Electric and South Jersey Gas, and you can always find out if somebody's supposed to be at your house, or if there is a shut-off notice, or if there's a bill that's due, or whatever. So thank you very much for your comments, and we appreciate you having us here.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the committee? Well, we certainly appreciate you continue to be great partners with Hamilton Township and recognizing the need, as we all move through this very difficult time. Arch, is that something we might be able to add a link to the website?
I think we have it up, don't we?
I believe Lisa put it up for us.
Yeah, we have.
We do?
Yeah,
Okay. And how about with the sign at Gaskell Point? Is that something that, because it's a utility, we'd be able to put on there?
Chief? Yeah, okay.
All right, so we'll continue to promote it on our end. We appreciate you taking the time out tonight to talk to us, introduce it to our residents, and we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, with that, we'll move on to addition and deletions of late agenda items to be considered for action tonight. We have 17A, one WDS Construction, Inc., out-of-state contractor. And then, I guess, just for the public knowledge, the introduction of ordinances number 5. The public hearing was originally, if they get introduced, was due to be held on February 16th. It will now be held on March 1st.
Make the appropriate motion.
There's a motion? Second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Ayes have it. Okay. Early public comment on agenda items excluding items listed for public hearings. Have anyone on the call, Lisa? If anyone would like to speak in early public comment on agenda items excluding items listed for public hearings, please either unmute yourself or raise your hand. Understand the motion?
Make a motion to close early public comment. Second.
There's a motion to second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Aye.
Next, we'll move on to item 3, discussion, formal action may be taken. This is regarding removing properties/sites from the historic designation as it's been discussed in the past, known as pocket sites. Arch, you want to give just a little bit on this?
Sure. Under the Historic Preservation Ordinance, originally passed in the mid-'80s, there had been locations, when they shrunk it in 1996, they left certain sites that they felt were significant to the community and historic. And they determined them pocket sites, or they're known also known as landmark sites, which were included in the coverage of the HPC. It's just a fact that they exist, and depending on what the committee wishes to do, taking further steps with them.
And just to be clear, this is sites that are outside of the historic district that's established in Hamilton Township and does not affect the historic district in Hamilton Township. They're outlying sites.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Is that correct, Lisa? So as far as Lisa Marlongo is the secretary for the HPC. Sure.
I have a list of sites here that it looks like there's about 60 sites. Like, let me say 10, 20,
We have
30,
29
40.
we have 29 designated sites
They're,
that we have.
some of these
50,
are,
Some of them have multiple properties on them.
Okay, all right.
I'm sorry, Lisa, go ahead.
No, so the historic district used to be a lot bigger in the it was set up in the 80s. And then in 1996, it was shrunk down. And there's the historic district, which is sort of in the middle of town, we'll call it, which is one unit. And then beyond that, there are the pocket sites, which are still historic, but they're not physically in that middle of the town area.
Yeah, I understand that's to be true. I have a map of that.
But the ordinance treats them all the same.
Yeah, this is a very sensitive type question, removing property sites. What, for one person? What's the deal? I don't understand, what we really need is a state attorney guiding us along the historic designations. I cannot see changing the whole complex or complexity of our beautiful town and all the time and effort that has been put into conforming to the HPC, and just because one person decided to go ahead and move ahead without any permits, and they got a pass from the HPC. I don't know why. I would have told them to tear it down. Because if you can't conform to what is expected when you buy a historic house or pocket site or whatever, it's shame on you. This is a historic town. I would love to see it be a Gettysburg. I would love to see it be a Williamsburg. And I think that we have followed true, and we do need guidance from the state as far as the attorney. The state attorney will give you every little bit that you really need. So I would move to look into getting a state attorney for the historic committee. Every other planning board, zoning, they all have their attorneys. Why don't we have an attorney for the HPC so they could help, so it could help them out, interpret things? So.
Well, I believe one of the problems is that since I've been on committee, this is one of the first things that someone brought up to me. Different sites, people said that they were not informed that they were a pocket site or part of a historic district. So they didn't know that they were on there, and you pull up the information that the HPC, the township has for those sites, and it even says on these cards that they have that it doesn't meet New Jersey Historic Registry guidelines.
Seriously?
Yes, seriously.
We can find anything we want to in regards to anything we want to, but since 1972, we've had a historic HPC. And there has been arguments, well, I can't sell anything, be it a historic designation, and that's not true. People have made out very well, and we've also provided an avenue where they can do the outside, get a break on their taxes, and so on and so forth. And, I feel as though we have just a small group, I'm not mentioning any names, that want to see it changed. Well, this is not... go to the HPC, go to the lawyer, see if they want to change, they have to make the proper, application. It's just not going to be willy-nilly change our whole complexion of our township for a few individuals who want to make a lot of money selling homes.
Well, I don't know about your comments on that, but I do appreciate some of your comments. I don't know this is about making money. I think this is an issue that, the process with this would be to send it to the planning board, make a recommendation to send it to the planning board, have them review the properties, and then have them make a recommendation back to Hamilton Township Committee. Now, anyone that wants to remain a historic site, we're not going to tell them they cannot remain a historic site. It's just we're not going to, if the planning board so desires, we're not going to force them to be a historic site. The one survey showed one of the properties was built in the 1930s. I don't see how that's historic.
Anything that's 50 years older is historic. Your house,
I don't think that's the charm that you're referring to
your house
when you
is-
talk about a historic
your
based
dad's-
landing.
your
when
dad's house
we have
is
houses that were
historic,
built in
correct?
1848,
Is your
18
dad's house historic?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is.
And
And
how
he's
did
in a
it-
historic district, and that house was built in 1848.
Okay, all right. But not all houses that are in that district are that age. There are other houses that are older than that.
Right.
But according to the Pinelands Commission, on which I was on, anything designated 50 years or older is historic. And so this is something for the Pinelands to consider, because the Pinelands has held very strong on historic areas.
And if we go through this process, Pinelands will have to review it.
Well-
And I don't think that, and again, using your own words, you said you would love to see us be a Gettysburg or a Cape May. A 50-year-old structure is not making us a Gettysburg or a Cape May. I agree with you with the downtown and
No.
historic structures.
No, I think people, hey, we know people that are around here for years and years and years and think that they can get away with what they can get away with. And, I've been here since 1960. My parents bought the Lake Lenape Park in 1960. All right, so I have a little bit of history here. And, so I'm saying that get us a lawyer that can split hairs and explain to us how all these pocket sites work, how the designation works, and so on and so forth. We just received 2 grants for the HPC, and we're working on a 3rd one. So let's not jump the gun. Let's see what we can do to provide a legal opinion from the state for the HPC.
I personally don't see any harm in allowing this to go to the planning board, have them look at it, and help advise us as a committee on what we should do.
Well, if it goes to the planning board, it automatically goes to HPC, doesn't it?
That would be a question, Bob.
I
Do
think
you
it's
know
other
that?
way
I
around.
think it's, yeah, it
Yeah.
Goes to the HPC, if they want to get another ruling, they can go to the planning board.
So initially they go to the HPC?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I think we need someone who, and it's, as I understand, I was talking to Cheryl Fetty, she says it's not an extraordinary amount of money. These people designate their life to the historic nature of New Jersey and to the historic complexities. They know the law. They know if a person wants to apply, do it to them. Do it to them. So
So I know in
so if you want
2015,
to go to the planning board, go to the planning board via the HPC.
in 2015, the ordinance was redone, correct? in 2015, from what I can understand, the ordinance was redone. And my question is, why was it redone? Why did we have to make changes to the ordinance?
Well, I think you have to have Cheryl Fetty here or another attorney to answer that question.
I wasn't here.
I was here.
Do you remember
Rodney was here.
Why did they make the changes?
I don't know why it was redone. But, you know, as I say, let us explore the legality of the historic district, the pocket districts, and so on and so forth. If things are put upon people unfairly, then let's take a look at that. Let's look at it legally. That's what I say.
We certainly wouldn't do anything illegally, but with that being said, these pocket sites, are they recognized by the state of New Jersey?
I don't know what the I do not know what
You
the
don't know?
designation is.
I think most of
On
them
several
are.
of the
So,
There are scads of them here.
Judy, when I'd appreciate if I could just get a minute to speak.
Okay.
Thank you.
My husband says the same thing. Sorry.
You done?
Maybe. If you're respectful to me, I'll be done.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Let's get back
Mr. Mayor,
to
could you please get order with this meeting?
please. All right. Please speak. Make your comments, Mr. Shanker.
So my other question is, there's about 12, 13 properties that are listed here as vacant lots. Why would a vacant lot be considered historically relevant?
Again, give me a minute. I'm not, my background's not in historic preservation.
Okay, I'm
I
just-
don't know. I have no idea.
I
In all
don't,
probability, it would be based on who the owner was at some point in history, and what was done on that property. That would be my intelligent guess for now.
well, yeah, it does say that certain things happened on these properties, but it's, from what's in front of me, it's just dirt now. So the dirt's historical? I think pretty much all dirt's historical.
I would think.
Good point.
And just for clean, let the record reflect, Mr. Gashard has joined the meeting and has listened to the conversation, which would enable him to have the opportunity to weigh in on this.
Certainly.
Is there any other discussion?
I'd like to say, the ordinance was changed in 2015 for some reason. I've talked to multiple people that are in the historic district or in pocket sites, and they have told me that they didn't even know they were in the historic district. And so some further digging was done, and I heard from different people that, yeah, letters went out, and then no, letters didn't go out. And the ordinance in 2015 is very explicit in how things are going to happen. A letter has to be sent to the owner of the property. It has to be sent return receipt. It has to be, or they have to be visited by someone from the township to go talk to them about it. And so that tells me that there must have been a reason. Somebody must have complained, something happened, I don't know what.
Yeah,
But-
the reason is there were several complaints about the order.
Sure.
That's the reason for it.
So I myself, I would like to see the whole thing, everybody, the historic district in town and all the pocket sites, let's follow that ordinance and start from scratch. And it states in there how things are to happen. Why not do that?
I'd like to see a lawyer involved in this and the grants that are there. I think for an oversweeping suggestion that you're talking about will change maybe people will be happy to be in the historic district. A lot of people are. A lot of people love their historic home. Let's take a survey. You're talking to some people, and who are those some people, and so on and so forth. Give me names.
Ms. Link, I do believe out of this process, if we send this to the planning board to have them do that and have them do the review and some of the research and make that recommendation back, those that want to stay in, those that want to remain a pocket site will be able to do that. If there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion to refer this to the planning board for further review and consideration back to the Township Committee.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
There's a motion and a second.
What's the motion?
Roll call on this, or should we?
I would have a roll call.
Can I add HPC in there?
Well, the HPC can certainly take what's provided in your packet tonight and make any recommendations they want to the planning board
Okay.
for consideration. And I would
Okay.
suggest that.
Okay.
I would certainly suggest that, and all the members are local.
Okay.
Attending the meeting might not be a bad idea either.
Okay,
All right?
okay.
There's a motion and a second. Rita, could we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Gishard,
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
Okay,
Mr.
Yes.
Vitale,
Yes.
Mr. Shanker,
Yes.
Mayor King.
Yes.
All yes and carried.
All right, so now we're going to move on to adoption of ordinances. These are public hearings. The first one is A, Ordinance 1942-2021, an ordinance of the Township of Hamilton, County of Atlantic, accepting a right-of-way easement on a portion of Block 865, Lot 48, upon which a portion of Columbia Road is constructed. We did hear testimony from the administrator on this previously. This affects a property where it was, the road was paved and partially on their property, and we're now granting the township a right-of-way easement and indemnifying the property owners.
And we're paying $1,200 for that.
And $1,200 it's going to cost us to do that. This is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wish to speak? If you do, please unmute yourself or raise your hand.
I have a question. How did this happen?
I can answer that.
Let's just see if we have anyone from the public, and then we'll go from there. I'll entertain.
Motion to close the public portion.
Second.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, Ms. Link, go ahead. What is your question?
Just how did it happen? I just, a mistake or,
Judy, some of these roads were built in the 30s, and they were based upon mistaken surveys in part. And this came about in the context of a tax appeal of this property owner. And it revealed that Columbia Avenue was in large measure on their property. And in the context of seeking a reduction in our assessment, they brought that to our attention. I conferred with the assessor. We agreed to look into it. The assessor placed a value on this strip of land at $1,200 to legitimize our right to continue to maintain and operate that roadway, and in return for which they would receive compensation of $1,200, and that we would agree to indemnify them if there was a claim emanating from the surface condition or the portion of the road, which really is the right thing to do.
right? Sounds good. Well, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Park Road used to be a dirt road leading to Lake Lenape Park, and the 2000, talk about being historic. In 07, it was not a road at that point, and that the Gaskell had a little, right where the Gaskell gas station was, had a little ferry that would bring people back to Lenape Park during that time. But Park Road was not always just a little sidelight.
Is there any other discussion on the ordinance? Hearing none, can I get a motion?
I'd like to move ordinance 1942, 2021.
Second. Motion and a second. Rita, could we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Gishard,
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
Yes.
Mr. Vitale.
Yes.
Mr. Shanker,
Yes.
Mayor King.
Yes.
All yes and adopted.
Next, we
With the
have B,
committee's-
Ordinance 1943, 2021, an ordinance amending Exhibit A, Section 2, Article 2 of Chapter 66 of the Code of the Township of Hamilton, providing for the maximum number of employees. This is not increasing employees. This is actually to discuss, as we discussed, increasing the hourly rate of the code staff. Obviously, there was a tremendous amount of discussion on this at the last meeting. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the public that would wish to speak? If so, please unmute or raise your hand.
Make a motion to close the public portion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
All right. What's your pleasure, committee?
Make a motion to move 1943, 2021.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Rita, can we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Gishard,
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
yes.
Mr. Vitale,
Yes.
Mr. Schenker,
Yes.
Mayor Kane.
Yes.
All yes and adopted.
Mr.
Next.
Mayor, before you move on, I just want to advise the committee that based on the vote with respect to 4A, I am charged with recording that deed of easement, which I will do.
Okay. Thank you.
What is that? I didn't hear that. Okay.
Next, we have C, Ordinance 1944, 2021, an ordinance amending Chapter 225, Article 1 of the Township Code to change fees for the use of the Cove recreational bathing area in the Township of Hamilton. Again, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone in the public that wishes to speak, please unmute yourself or raise your hand.
Make a motion to close public comment.
Second.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right. I'll entertain a motion.
I would like to speak to this.
Okay.
In my calculations, I'm not really saying that it is totally accurate, but what I'm looking at is a 40% increase to those people who have purchased a yearly membership. And I'm thinking that during this COVID situation where people really don't have the excess money, they want their children to enjoy the Cove. And it seems as though if I'm not reading this right, that only 250 people are allowed in the Cove at one time. So then I have a question. How do you determine which people come into the Cove? If a family has 10,
First come, first serve.
first come, first serve,
Yeah.
okay, even if they have a thing for the whole season, okay, you're saying that if family Smith comes and they have 10 people, and Smith and Young came just maybe 5 minutes before, and they had like 10 people, that because of the restriction, that you're going to choose one over the other, even if they both have
I believe
Yeah,
that's
so
what they do at
first come,
restaurants
first
now.
serve
Is exactly what
First
it
come,
means.
first
I
serve
mean,
at restaurants.
Well, I was thinking, why don't you do Eventbrite then? Where you purchase a ticket before you go, and the people in line for those tickets get their tickets like that.
I believe
Did we
Lisa
turn
has something
anybody
to say.
away last year?
We had people that we would have to hold from entering because of the numbers. Again, that was a strict COVID enforcement last year.
Right.
And we're hoping that going into this summer, and actually we loosened it up sometime. If there were people in the water and we had space, it would be loosened up to let more than 250 in. 250 is a number of a calculation from a calculation by the police chief and his staff on under safe distancing. Again, with this summer, I mean, first of all, you understand, children are free. Kids under 12, there's no charge at all. So a lot of numbers going in the door of the children.
Yes.
But secondly is we attempt to get as many people in without restricting them. And this year, I think we'll have a better situation.
Okay.
And as we're starting to see some easing of some restrictions,
Right.
That count could go up considerably.
Has the restrictions changed since last summer? I haven't
No,
paid much attention
the
to that.
issue we're dealing with there is the social distancing issue.
Right.
And, that's how the calculation was done. But again, if people move into the water and we had space up there, we would let additional people in. But the calculation is the same right
It's
now.
still the same, okay.
But
Hopefully.
but if the COVID situation goes away in the future, I mean, 2 years in a row, easily you could 450 on there, and with no problem.
Here's I was looking at this on the internet before coming, that the water does not really transmit the virus, but it is the proximity of the people close to each other.
Right.
So you have a lot of like little kids or running and jumping and yelling at each other, and how do you control that?
Lisa?
Lisa knows.
I'm sorry, the question is, how do you control?
How do you control, for instance, God forbid we still have COVID by the time this happens, but when, you know yourself, when you're looking at a swimming area, they're all playing, they're yelling at each other, and so on and so forth. They're not 6 feet apart from each other. Maybe they are, I don't know, with masks on, but how do you restrict them from yelling at each other, or that breath? That's what I'm talking about, in close proximity with each other. I know, now this is a little bit a sideline, but the Cove always had an issue with the bacteria that was in that water compared to Lake Lenape, because I was a lifeguard at Lake Lenape for 15 years. And when we found, I know Ingrid would always be testing, so there's there's bacteria. We're not concerned about the bacteria, but we're concerned about what comes out of the mouth of the children. Is that a danger?
Well, first I'll say that the water is tested every week by the Department of Health.
For bacteria?
And last summer, we had one time when the bacteria count was high. It was the day after a major storm. Everything from the street washed into the water.
Correct.
And we had one day where we had to restrict people from going in the water.
Yeah.
And then they came out the next day and retested it, and the water levels were back to normal.
Yeah, well, that's good, but it really is not addressing the...
The answer to your other question about how do you keep people from breathing on each other, the answer is you can't. But people naturally social distance from each other on a beach because you don't want to be sitting right next to some stranger. So they tend to collect in groups of family, which whether they live in the same house or not, I can't tell you, but they would group themselves in family groups and they naturally distance themselves from other people. Now there's some crossing, little kids will play with each other from different families, but we did try to keep people separated as much as possible by limiting the number of people in the water. And we also stopped people from throwing balls and that type of thing, in the water. So we did what we could, but again, there's a certain amount of natural distancing that people do on a beach.
Right. As I say, I was just looking at it.
And as far as your other question about the restricting people on the beach, it is first come, first serve. The only time we had issues with more than 250 people on the beach was on the weekends, sometimes on Saturday or Sunday. And it's kind of like when you go to a restaurant and they tell you got to wait 20 minutes to get a table. So people would line up outside and they would wait. And when a group of 5 people would leave, we'd let 5 people come on.
So they
And in that
were,
order.
they didn't.
Generally speaking, the length of time that they waited to get on the beach would be maybe tops 20 minutes. And it would only be for about an hour and a half that we were having to, restrict people and keep track of who was coming on. And then after that, enough people leave by around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon to take the kids home for their naps, that people can start coming on again, and then it all loosens up.
Now, are you in attendance all the time?
Last summer, I was there every Saturday and Sunday,
It sounded like you,
Yes.
you really were in
and I stopped by
attendance.
every day during the week, yes.
Okay, yeah. Very responsible person in attendance.
Thank you, Lisa. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. Committee, what's your pleasure?
Make a motion to move ordinance 1944, 2021.
There's a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Rita, could we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes,
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Mayor Kane?
Yes.
All yes and adopted.
The next, we will have the introduction of ordinances. Again, the public hearing to be held on March 1st. First, we have ordinance 1946, 2020, an ordinance authorizing the sale of lot 16 in block 493, known as Massachusetts Avenue, as shown on the tax map of the Township of Hamilton, and granting to the owner or owners of said real property contiguous to the same the right to prior refusal to purchase such land in the Township of Hamilton, County of Atlantic, and State of New Jersey. This is simply, we deal with these quite often. It's contiguous property owner, so therefore Archer doesn't have to go out to bid. They have the right to purchase it.
Right, and we have notices to people, the adjoining neighbors.
Adjoining
and-
neighbors.
Yes.
So,
Make a motion to introduce ordinance 1946, 2021.
Second.
there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. B, ordinance 1947, 2021, an ordinance amending Exhibit A, Section 1, Article 2 of Chapter 66 of the Code of the Township of Hamilton, providing for the maximum numbers of employees, adding Youth Services and Protection Coordinator.
Mr. Mayor, this is an ordinance that creates a position that is being needed due to the fact that with the requirements of fingerprinting, mandatory fingerprinting of volunteers, and along with the process of them with applications, this position will also coordinate field usage and coordinate the cove in the summertime. So there will be some reduction in cost to the cove side, which will be charged with this position covering that. But this is really focusing on the protection of children, and that's what it's about.
And I believe as elected officials, that's the protection of our residents is of utmost importance, especially the children. And this is something that's been long overdue, and it's recommended by our insurance carrier, actually insisted upon by our insurance carrier that this is something that gets done.
So does the law require this?
Doesn't require the position, requires the fingerprinting, but we need the position to do the fingerprinting.
Yeah, these fingerprinting and all that work is all mandated.
Yes.
And just to be clear, this will be handled in our public safety side of the building under the police department. Obviously, there's a lot of sensitive information that will be obtained, and it'll be handled on that side of the building. So,
Correct.
I guess each one of these people that would be involved in that would have to take an oath of confidentiality so that they wouldn't inadvertently say, "Oh, I saw your name." You know, when I was looking at it, the graduation and experience here, I mean, just to make sure that, you know, because that can be very damaging.
Obviously, the police department conducts background checks on a daily basis. They do it for many different reasons, including firearms licensing and things of that nature. And that's why I think it's important to have it under the control of the police department for just the reasons you stated, because obviously that's information that's extremely sensitive and should not have any opportunity of leaking out. So,
Who would be hired for this? Just the police or youth services or
It'd be a civilian position.
civilian position?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
is there any other discussion? Committee, what's your pleasure?
I make a motion to move ordinance 1947, 2021.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. Then we'll move on to 5C, Ordinance 1948, 2021, and an ordinance for and by the Township of Hamilton, County of Atlantic, accepting title to Block 801, Lot 13, as shown on the official tax map of the Township of Hamilton, County of Atlantic, by way of deed from the County of Atlantic.
Mr. Mayor, this is a piece of property that is basically not or underutilized by the county on the north side of 2nd Street at Farragut. It was formerly used as a parking lot for the county jail, and this will allow us to take this property and utilize it for future development or other uses.
And this was a cooperative agreement between the county and us. The county needed another piece of property to help with the expansion of the airport, and we made this deal with them to offset that.
We decided how to use the property.
Well, I think that property opens up a lot of opportunities with, obviously parking. It opens up opportunities with possibly, whatever may in the future be done at the Duberson School. There's a tremendous amount of opportunities that this could afford us. So,
Is this going to be covered with snow removal too?
I'm sorry?
Snow removal?
Well,
It's not utilized.
it's
as a
not
parking lot
utilized now, so I don't see any reason why we would have to plow it, but,
No.
Because it may,
We'll probably chain it off.
Yeah, I would say, because right now it's not chained. I know people
No, we'll
parking
chain it
there
off.
now.
No, once we take control of it, we'll chain it off.
well, don't we want this piece of property to be something that we're adding to our number of parking spots that is going to be usurped by that other deal, that where the parking that we normally do during a Halloween parade?
We would open it up. If we had a special event and the parking was required, we could open up the parking lot.
Okay.
And
And then it would be.
then we charge
maintained.
$5 a shot. And make some money on
How much?
I think he was joking.
Are we going to say, or she'll pay for it?
essentially this evening, what we're doing is we're accepting it from them.
Yeah,
And then we
I
can figure out in the
understand
what
when you
we're going to
accept,
do with it
You
long
still have
term.
maintenance and you still
Right.
have things that you have to do with it.
Is there any further discussion?
Make a motion to introduce ordinance 1948, 2021.
I have a motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. 6, award of bids, contracts, change orders. We have none. The consent agenda, we have items 7A1 through 7H.
Could I ask
Motion.
that E and H be voted separately, please?
Which one's Bob? I'm sorry.
E, temporary budget, and H, the letter of credit item.
Okay.
All right,
I'll make a motion that we pass A through D, F and G.
Second.
there's a motion, a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. Okay, I'll make a motion, can I get a motion for 7E?
Make a motion to move 7E, resolution amending the temporary budget for the year 2021.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
5-0.
All right, ayes have it. We'll move on to 7H. Is there anything you wanted to add on this, Bob? or you-
Yeah, I wanted this separate because it's a letter of credit which has a finite term. We've talked about these in the past. You're going to authorize me to take action before the letter of credit expires. Our engineer did a punch list that has not been satisfied by the developer. So I have until March the 4th to file suit. Now, I know we have a meeting on March 1st, but you must realize that if you approve this, you're authorizing me to take action.
Any additional discussion, committee? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to deny the release of the performance guarantee.
Second.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. 8, personnel. Resolution appointing regular member of the Hamilton Township Zoning Board for an unexpired term, 4-year term, to expire 12/31/22.
I'd like to present the name Susan Hopkins.
Second. There is a motion and a second to appoint Susan Hopkins. Rita, could we get a roll call on this one, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Is this for A? What is this for?
8A.
8A.
Wait, oh, Sue Hopkins. Okay.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Mayor Kane?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
I think she'll be a great addition to that board. B, resolution to change the position classification of Charles Wilbert from truck driver / laborer 1, $34,973.41 annually, to truck driver laborer 2, $36,557.32 annually, upon the recommendation of the Director of Public Works, effective 1/18/21.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Rita, roll call, please.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Mayor Kane?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Next, we have the approval of regular meeting minutes for January 19th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. B, minutes executive session of January 19th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Rita, since our executive session, can we get a roll call?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Mayor Kane?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
And now we'll move on to C, bill list total, $4,235,315.15.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Rita, can we get a roll call?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Mayor Kane?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
All right. With that, we'll move on to reports. Mr. Administrator?
The other thing I have is I'm requesting that since the meetings were moved up because of the weather conditions from the 1st to the 8th, and that the next meeting would be scheduled for February 16th, that most of the business that we've taken care of basically all the business that we have to have hearings for on the 1st. We do have a pending ordinance we will introduce, and I've talked to the engineer for stormwater that we can introduce on the 1st, a little bit delayed, and pass on the 15th of March, which is fine. This is a cost-saving measure too. I don't have to bring video staff in and backup staff for the meeting. So I guess I am requesting that we cancel the meeting of the 16th and take care of all the business on March 1.
Questions, comments from committee?
That's good.
I'm against.
Are you saying skip that meeting because on the 1st you'll be able
Yeah,
to?
we have nothing. I mean, we're going to have nothing for the meeting.
Okay.
I mean, that's, if you want to have a meeting on the 16th, that's fine. But the business is going to be all about a minute and a half, if that.
And you're asking that because we realize that there would be a savings to the public by us not holding
There's a
that
savings
meeting.
of not having to bring people in and come to a meeting.
Any other questions or comments? What's your pleasure, committee?
I'd like to move the recommendation.
I would make a motion to skip that meeting and move to the 1st.
All right, well,
Is
Bob, I
that,
mean,
did I say it?
I'll second that.
roll call? No, not necessary. So there is a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Four ayes, one nay. The ayes have it. Anything else, Mr. Administrator?
Nothing this evening, though.
Mr. Solicitor?
Nothing to report.
It's always good when a solicitor has nothing to report. Mr. Engineer?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor and committee, just a few items. I just want to report on the Lake Lenape Dam Committee. We had a meeting with the county on February 22nd. Things are moving in a very positive direction. The county reported that there's no vibration. The monitoring that's done on the dam, we're very positive, no movement at all with the dam, and that's related to the bridge construction that's been going on. Carl Patali brought up that he would like to see the county provide milestone dates moving forward. They've agreed to that. I could report that on February 17th, we have a milestone meeting with State Historic Preservation Office. That's a critical point for us because we're invited to a virtual meeting where the State Historic Preservation Office is going to tell us their findings on the powerhouse design and that labyrinth design that we've chosen for the dam. And that's a critical point because when we get feedback from State Historic Preservation Office, it allows WSP, the design consultant, to finalize the dam of the powerhouse based on those recommendations. And it's for the first time we'll have feedback from State Historic Preservation Office on this labyrinth design that we've provided. I've had a chance to review about a 60-page document that WSP has put together, and it's thorough, it's informative, excellent photographs, and I'm hoping for good results on that meeting of February 17th. I just hope that his State Historic Office doesn't ask for too many items that translates to increased costs for us. So that's a milestone, and I know Carl's been after on these monthly meetings that we need milestone dates and a schedule, and I think the county is starting to respond pretty nicely to what Carl's been asking for. Cotton Mill Bridge, I continue to report the project's on schedule. Nobody's working, I think because of the weather, but I'm still positive that I'm hearing from the county that they're still on schedule. Route 322, I checked with South State, the contractor that has the contract where he milled and paved from Route 50 to 322 and 40, that 4-mile stretch. He's working on some electrical upgrades at Cologne Avenue right now. They're reporting to me that the early part of June is when we're going to see that top course of asphalt installed out there.
Do you have any idea why they have that one entrance closed into the festival?
I do not know why, but I will find out. I'll find out which entrances.
If you're heading westbound, it'd be the first entrance into festival. They reconfigured it from a 2-lane down to a 1-lane, and it's remained closed since they did that.
I will find out tomorrow.
Yeah, it's been quite a while now.
Yeah, I will report back to committee on that.
I have a question about festival. You know, as you leave, say, the Acme or Dunkin' Donuts, there's a well-lit right-hand turn, but then there is not a well-lit left-hand turn. In other words, a person who is waiting there to get into that right lane could accidentally turn into the lane that is not well-lit.
This is where the Home Goods, closest to the Home Goods, that entrance?
No, it's leaving, you know, where the Woodlands is, that area. where Toys R Us was, I think it was.
Right in front of
Toy-
McDonald's, I guess?
Yeah.
Right in front of McDonald's?
Yeah. Now, Toys R Us, were they supposed to make sure that that's remained lit well? Because I'm speaking from experience. It was so dark. I did turn into that area, and of course, I'm going the wrong way. And I'm thinking, am I the only stupid person who would go the wrong way? Or is it really, do we need more light there? Do we need more light? Can you just
I will take a look
check
at
in?
it. If it's related to the old Toys R Us property, that is, property's been purchased by Lomax Tile and Carpet, and they're coming, they've been to a work session at the planning board. They're coming to the planning board on March 4th. They've already started doing renovations. Their plans are to move in, and they're
Okay.
coming to seek a site plan waiver, but they're going to do all the improvements to the site that the work session committee members, but I'll take a look at it.
Very anxious to get started.
Yeah, I
Very
can show
anxious,
you.
and
I don't really want to admit that I went the wrong way, but there's one lady who goes, just get over to the side and I'll help you. I'll help you. And
I
I'm
will
going,
take a look
oh
at
my
that.
God.
I-
Yeah.
I will
Just
look
to
at that.
mention that, Steve, too, I want to thank all the members that attended that workshop. That was something that was pulled together very quickly. And these are the things that residents don't see that we do behind the scenes to move that gentleman along and get him open as quickly as possible, and get him in front of the planning board. And you know, the public doesn't have the benefit of seeing that. So he's moving along at a real fast pace now. I expect it to go smoothly at the planning board because he's been extremely upfront. I'm assuming he'll be extremely well prepared, and we're looking forward to get him creating jobs for us there.
It was the planning board office that moved that application and the work session together very quickly. And they should be commended for that.
Good.
The last item I just want to report on is we have a pre-bid meeting this Wednesday, and Carl was invited. This is Steve Blankenship, and the MUA is going to be replacing water mains in the center of town, but specifically our interest right now is on 3rd Street. You mentioned, Judy, a few weeks ago that there was some work being done on 3rd Street, and
Yeah.
that work is, there were gas line replacements to 2 residential structures. That work is done, but there's a lot more work that's going to be occurring on 3rd.
Oh, okay.
From Lenape all the way to Shaner School. We're going to keep an eye on it. My concern is whatever work they do to keep the residents safe, keep traffic flowing, and the restoration work is important. So we're going to keep a close watch on that, like I mentioned before. But
Okay.
Carl's been invited to help out with, keep an eye on, make sure the MUA lives up to what we expect from them.
Okay.
So that
Very
concludes
good.
my report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Township committee members, we'll start with you, Judy.
Yes, I just cannot emphasize enough for people to wear their masks and to respect the COVID. I was sick for 16 days with it, and it is no joke. My daughter, who is a physician, guided Jim and I along on this. And I would not wish it on anybody. And it just we've traced it, and it was, this young fellow helped us move some stuff, and this is what we think happened. But it's no joke. We got to get through this. And, if we can make available the vaccinations. I know they're over at ACC. I don't know all of them, but they're coming available. So it's a harrowing experience. And thank God I made it over the top. The other thing that I would like to just extol is Coach Cheney, John Cheney, for the Temple basketball. Unbelievable mentor for children, for adults. And this is where we have to be in our program. Gee, if we could get a John Cheney, that would be a person who was so super dedicated, but we have them here. And our children need that kind of inspiration and also guidance. So I know that he's being honored tonight. So I just wanted to mention. Okay.
Deputy Mayor?
A couple weeks ago, there was a cleanup down at the Gravelly Run Land Trust. Wanted to say thank you to the ACIT baseball team, ACUA, Green Team, Public Works, the police department that was out there. They got 1.3 tons of trash out of there. So hopefully people start taking their trash out of there on their own. I was out there. I got there a little bit late, I'll admit, so I didn't do much help. The people that were there already had things pretty much cleaned up, but it was amazing what was back there. There was a giant 60-inch TV back there. There was just, it's amazing. You just shake your head at wondering why people take stuff like that back there. But it got all cleaned up now. It looks really nice. It's a really neat place. I met the, I guess what do you want to call him, the manager or whatever from the land trust that's in charge of that out there. And he does his best to keep an eye on things and make sure that what's supposed to be going on out there is going on out there. I know he's in contact with our police department, and we do our best to keep things the way it should be. But it was really nice to see everybody out there cleaning everything up. Couple snow events. I want to say great work to Public Works. You guys did a nice job. I didn't receive any complaints. I don't know if anybody else did, but the roads were pretty much cleaned up quickly. And thank you and the police department and all the fire companies, rescue squad. Good job. I know that there was a fire out on 322. One of the plow trucks caught fire, but that was taken care of by, I guess, Cologne and Mays Landing. So good job to them. And looks like some more snow this week. So everybody, please be safe. If you can get your cars off the street, get your cars off the street. Makes life so much easier for the Public Works guys. And be safe out there. And that's all I have. Reagan, Maddie, miss you, love you. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Carl. Shanker?
I'd just like to echo, the thanks to Public Works and the police department and obviously our fire departments who, it's always a struggle when there's snow, no matter how much. So again, thanks to all of them, but that's all I have.
Sure.
I certainly like to second what Art said. Also, we've all been hearing about this vaccine, about the effort to get people inoculated, but I don't know how many of you have been contacted and given a date to get your vaccination. I was surprised to find out that ACCC had a pretty big vaccination event on, I think it was Saturday. I was able to get a shot there, and I think they had about 500 people. I know veterans are being notified in some cases about shot availability, but I think you pretty much have to look for it yourself. Give the county a call. They can probably tell you where to go. Shot, you can't even feel the shot, so it's nothing to be worried about. That's all I have.
My father actually just got his first shot. He was on the list for quite a while and finally got a phone call and got his first shot on Saturday. So obviously I want to echo the same comments with Public Works and our emergency services. Great job. Fortunately, I don't think we got exactly what we were supposed to get, and that's always a blessing. And I had the privilege of I was reached out to by St. Vincent de Paul School and asked to speak to the 8th grade class there regarding government and what it's like to be part of government. And I have to tell you, if there any example of what we have to look forward in the future, I was extremely impressed. It was Miss Q's class, 8th grade class, and I was scheduled for a brief 10 minutes, and I think we went 20, 25 minutes. The classroom was completely engaged and continued to ask question after question. I really enjoyed the experience. I think they enjoyed the experience. But, again, it was something that was supposed to just last a few minutes, and the kids were engaged, and they were asking just great questions, and that's always a great thing to see. Maybe it's a product of being cooped up too long, I don't know, but it was nice to see them really interested in how government operates and what elected officials do on a daily basis. And so that was enjoyable. Judy, I just want to lend yourself to the comments that you said. As we surpassed 1 million vaccinations today, but it is not time to let your guard down. Like yourself, I know many people right now that have had this. I know people that, my own age have lost their life over it, and it is not time to. And I say this to the public. It's not time, as we start loosening these restrictions, it's not time to let your guard down. Wear your mask, social distance, sanitize, and, let's just hope. The last meeting, I think we were at 366,000 vaccinations we talked about, and now we surpassed 1 million. So hopefully at the next meeting, we'll see that be 1.5 or possibly 2 million. And that's the direction we need to go so that we can get out of this pandemic and get back to some normalcy. And hopefully those numbers, as we see restrictions easing, hopefully those numbers will increase the count at the Cove, increase the revenue at the Cove. And, we had an issue we talked about, and the Chief and Arch, I appreciate them being involved. And I want to talk to the sports associations out there, the recreation leagues. We have been doing a tremendous amount of research trying to get spectators at the sporting events properly social distance. I myself was on the phone with the governor's office today. He had his chief of staff reach out to me. They have left out a part. They cover indoor sports. Of course, we've seen an increase in outside dining and indoor dining. And then they go on and they cover greatly collegiate sports. And it pretty much leaves outdoor municipal recreation sports off the list. They haven't really touched on it. So we have to revert back to the original executive order or look at the 25-person limit, which is the limit for outdoor gatherings. And I believe that after the conversation we had today, they realized that it was an oversight, and I'm hoping we'll get some positive news from them either tonight or tomorrow, get some positive news, and maybe you'll be able to see some parents go out and watch their kids actually playing sports. So that's all I have. At this point, we'll open it up to the public. Anyone in the public wishing to speak, please unmute yourself or raise your hand.
Hello, Mr. Mayor. John Applegate, Old River Road.
Yes, Mr. Applegate.
Yes, I'd like to thank you for having pocket sites on the agenda tonight. It's been a long time coming. I have an application I put into HPC in August and a second one in November. Neither one has been addressed. Even though HPC is very good at handling construction projects, they haven't been able to handle this, as you know. I would like to bring Mrs. Link up to date, and I found her comments offending to me. Number one, I would like to know this tax break I do get for being in historic, if somebody could give me that. Number two, she said, I'm trying to make money. Well, let me tell you what, being in the HPC has cost me extra money. With downtime in my construction projects, even though the township staff has been extremely helpful in trying to get me there. And number three, she said, if I can't comply, shame on me. Terrible. Way to think of your resident. Now, she needs to come be updated with all my emails. I guess it was prior to her current service, but I'm going to refresh the memories here. I did do an Oprah. Took me a couple times. I'm not an attorney. Trying to get information was difficult because I think it was just difficult for your staff to find information, and they don't have information. Somewhere in 84 is the first ordinance I got where HPC was created. Another one in 89. But I'd like to tell you, in 95, all pocket sites were eliminated. And the Township Committee, it says right in the ordinance, quote, the Township Committee has determined that it is in the best interest of the township to amend the existing district to conform with the federal, state, historical district boundary demarcations, unquote. In the 84 survey that you guys have had the whole time until I finally got an Oprah done, it very clearly states in that survey that I'm not eligible to be in any state or national registry. So you can see that in 95, they were trying to do the right thing. I'm not quite sure what happened in 96 when all these pocket sites were put back in. Somebody must have had some kind of agenda going on for something. Back in 2015, in that ordinance, very clearly, Mr. Sandman said in the open hearing, the ordinance states how to do it. Okay. Apparently from the Oprah, I was supposed to receive letters in 18. Never received any communication from the township until 2020 that we were even in HPC. More paperwork errors, not very good, not very fair to your residents. So I guess at this point, what I'm trying to find out is I have 2 applications in with HPC. It's great now. It sounds like everything's going to the planning board, but I would like my applications addressed. I'm sure this Thursday meeting, HPC meeting, is going to get canceled again. I've been on there for 6 months and I've gotten nowhere. I know the committee members that were on the last year know my situation. Again, I'm just trying to find out what's going on here. I'm not an attorney. I don't have an attorney. That would be all. Thank you.
I appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else in the public that'd like to speak? If so, please.
Yes, Charles. Yes, Charles. Are you there, Charles?
I'm sorry. Could you state your name for the record and your address, please?
Jim Carrigan, 5714 Law Street.
Go ahead, Mr. Carrigan.
Who got appointed to the zoning board tonight?
Susan Hopkins. Sue Hopkins.
Okay. That's an expired term or a full 4-year term?
That is the unexpired 4-year term to expire on 12/31 of 22.
Oh, wow. Almost 2 years then, huh? Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. And is the ACC giving out vaccines yet, Charles?
I didn't catch that, Mr. Carrigan.
Is the ACC still giving out vaccines?
Is ACC, Jim, I have no knowledge of that. County's doing
Have
that.
to check it out.
They will have another session to give people a second shots. You know, I would assume first time people could come there also if they made a call and check on that. They were coming back, how many weeks after the first shot is it? 3 weeks?
4 weeks. Yeah, 3
So 3 or 4 weeks back.
4 weeks yet. I don't want to go down to AC. That's too far. Screw that. I don't get my vaccine here on the mainland. Maybe I'll wait for a pharmacy here now.
I said
What
ACC College.
Is it posted on their website, Rodney? Yeah.
Should be on the county
I
website.
haven't checked it.
Jim, I would suggest you go to the county website. There is a tremendous amount of information there regarding the locations, times, and dates. Atlantic Care also has information posted on their website regarding times and dates. So I would suggest you go there, and I believe you'll find the information you're looking for.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim. Is there anyone else in the public that'd like to speak? Please unmute yourself. Go ahead, Jack.
Am I on? My microphone working today?
You're very low, Jack. We can barely hear you.
I'll get closer to the microphone.
There you go.
Concerning these vaccines, I've been on both the state site and the county site, and they have no vacancies whatsoever in order to get vaccines. I find those sites to be very, well, I want to be generous about it, but they're not very accommodating. But what I will say about the vaccines, if you happen to be a World War II vet or probably a Korean War vet, you go down to the Veterans Administration in Northfield, go through their process down there. I went down there, and within 1 week, I had my shot. And it was a very efficient operation. I had to go to Rio Grande to do it because it's a central location down there. It's a magnificent facility that the Veterans Administration is supporting in Rio Grande. I subscribe to Mr. Patali's position here as a public works person. That was one of my duties when I was on the committee. But one thing about snow removal, what we tried to do way back, it's very important to get that first pass through. You know, hit that center line and shove it to the right as far as you can. Then the next day you go down, you go back and you cut the corners in, but you might want to send those trucks down for a second pass on those roadways to get the snow back to the mailboxes out in the sticks here out in the country area. It's very difficult for the post office people to try and get mail to the boxes when the snow hasn't been cut back to the side of the right of way. It's just a suggestion. This past week was very, very emotional for me as a former member of the committee. I was also had the duty in the police department with working with the chief to hire on people. And one of the resumes that we looked at was this young fellow from the Air Force, had police department experience in another location, and looked like a very good candidate and was recommended to the committee for approval. This past week, the police department did a stupendous job in the burial commitment for Dave Vanier, the 21-year veteran of the department. And it's, they say life goes around. I had the pleasure of recommending him to the committee for approval. I also had the opportunity to marry him and his wife. And Wednesday, when we had the ceremony, I happened to be, there's a Marine Corps unit that does a very stupendous job of the final commitment. And I happened to be walking past the trailer as a member of the American Legion. And the fellow from the VFW, Tommy Judge, said, what are you doing? I said, hey, I'm just coming. He says, just coming to attend the session here. And he said, get in here. And he put a rifle in my hand. And I was part of the final rifle salute. So life does go around. You help a guy get hired on. You see a commit to a family situation, and then you also commit him to God in heaven. I just wanted to commend the police department for a fantastic job that they did in the committal ceremony. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Is there anyone else in the public that would wish to speak? If so, please unmute yourself.
Hi, this is Denise Applegate.
Go ahead, Denise.
Hi, 283 Old River Road. I know my husband already had a chance to speak tonight concerning our property, and I just wanted to echo what he said, and also to thank the committee for finally moving this forward to the planning board. I think we'll finally get some movement. We've been waiting a long time. And I just want to be very clear to Judy, this has nothing to do with our feelings on historic property or how much we value history and what it means to Mays Landing. We've spent an enormous amount of our own money working with architectural and structural engineers just to be sure we could save our house. So make no mistake, this has nothing to do with us not valuing history and the historic nature of Mays Landing. So please don't quote and assume that we're doing what we're doing because we don't value history, because that is absolutely not the case. I also want you to please, and this is directed specifically at Judy, I would ask that you go back and review your statements from 2015 when the ordinance was updated, because I've reviewed them many, many times. I've watched the meetings online that are recorded many times. I've reviewed the minutes. You've made a 180-degree change because the exact reasons my husband and I are trying to get out of being a pocket site are the very exact concerns that you had in 2015 when that ordinance was updated. Your concerns and Rodney Gouchard's concerns are exactly now why we want out. So I would implore you, before you quote anymore, go back and review what you said in 2015 about the current ordinance. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Is there anyone else in the public that would wish to speak? Please unmute yourself.
No one else from the public is speaking on this, Mr. Mayor.
Make a motion to close the public
portion.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. I'll entertain a motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned.